lovers, it is G-Swizz here, and I'm here today with my quarter 4 TBR for 2023. We are finally in the final quarter of 2023, and it is just a little bit ridiculous. It's my birthday in October, and I honestly just cannot believe that it's just come so quickly. I am finally making plans for end of year reading, and as 2023 is closing, I would like to find some new favorites before I get to my top 23 books of 2023 list. And I absolutely enjoy making my favorites list for the year every year. It is getting to the point where I'm trying to work out whether or not to separate the list out or make a tier ranking video for maybe all the romance novels that I've read. I'm considering doing that. I've never made a tier ranking video before, but I have to try at some point, and I reckon that this year might just be the year I'm gonna do it. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself because we're not quite there yet, but I have some plans for end of year content and beginning of year content, and I need to read before then. So I guess without further ado, I'm gonna get straight into this list. I'm gonna talk about some series I plan to complete by the end of the year, some rom-coms I plan to complete, and some new releases. Let's go. So I am gonna kick this TBR video off with a anticipated release from a favorite author. Katee Robert is going to release Hunt on Dark Waters, and it's gonna be released with Berkeley, I believe, which is traditional publisher, Penguin. Whoa. I initially saw this cover and absolutely fell in love with it, and when I heard the premise, I was like, oh my goodness, I need to read it. It is pretty much a pirate hate to love romance, and considering that Katee Robert is the author of this, I just know that I am really going to enjoy it because I really like Katee Robert's humor, I like the way that she writes spice, and I am just wanting to read more pirate romances in general because I don't think I have a favorite pirate romance. Like, I did like All the Stars and Teeth by Adeline Grace, and I did like Daughter of the Pirate King. Those were okay, but they haven't really stuck with me like I've wanted them to, so I'm hoping that Hunt on Dark Waters sticks with me. This has a very beautiful cover. It is going to be released on the first week of November, and I can't wait to pick this one up. I've already pre-ordered it. I also saw it for $16 on Amazon, so I was like, sign me up, I'm so there. So I cannot wait to read this one and let you guys know how I go with it. And the next few books on my quarterly TBR are going to be some Christmas rom-coms. So I'm going to start off with the ones that I don't yet own and then move on to my physical TBR at the moment as I'm filming this. First of all, I would like to mention Wreck the Halls by Tessa Bailey. This is a Tessa Bailey novel. It's a Christmas novel. I am very much looking forward to reading this one because I have two reasons to look forward to it. I love reading Tessa Bailey's books, and I want to read more Christmas rom-coms. I do want to do a Christmas rom-com recommendation video, but I also want to do some sort of TBR surrounding the holiday period as well. So hopefully I can make that kind of content as we get closer to the festive season. Wreck the Halls, I'm just looking forward to because it seems like it's going to be a fun time based on the fact that it's a Tessa Bailey novel. I really enjoyed Window Shopping by Tessa Bailey, but I'm kind of hoping that I get a longer novel out of Wreck the Halls because as much as I liked Window Shopping, I kind of wish that that was a full-length novel rather than being like a 250-page story. So we will see how we go with Wreck the Halls. I just hope that this one's a good time, and I think it might just be a good time because I like majority of Tessa Bailey's novels. Not all of them, majority of them. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, Wreck the Halls is not a disappointment for 2023 like Secretly Yours was. And the next holiday-themed rom-com that I'm so looking forward to reading is a Holly Jolly Ever After by Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone. If you guys don't know, Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone wrote my favorite Christmas rom-com I read last year, and that, my friends, was A Merry Little Me Cute. I adored that one. Oh my goodness. I just can't get over it, and I am also planning on rereading that book this year, so I'm hoping to read that one sometime soon, but if I do, I want to read it in the lead up to a Holly Jolly Ever After. I just adore Julie Murphy's and Sierra Simone's writing style together. I still have not yet read anything by Sierra Simone separately, even though I have a few titles from her on my TBR at the moment. I know, it's ridiculous. And I have read Dumplin' by Julie Murphy, and I did enjoy Dumplin' at the time that I read it. And honestly, in my personal opinion, both of them writing together is like a match made in heaven because Julie Murphy brings in a good comedic style, and then Sierra Simone brings in a very steamy style. I mean, in a way, I'm not too sure if all the comedy is from Julie Murphy's end. I just haven't read anything by Sierra Simone, so I think it's too early to tell. But it very much reminded me of my reading experience with Dumplin', so I kind of appreciated that aspect of A Merry Little Meet Cute, and I'm so looking forward to see what they came up with the second book. And if they write more books together, I will be reading them because I just loved A Merry Little Meet Cute so much, and I'm just hoping that this next book will deliver. And the last of the holiday rom-coms that I have to mention on this TBR today is probably not going to be the last holiday rom-com I'm going to read. There are going to be some other holiday rom-coms that I am definitely going to consider during this period, but at the moment I am definitely considering rereading Lovelight Farms by B.K. Borson. I listened to this one on audiobook last year and I did enjoy it. I don't really remember much about the side characters. I do remember this just being an absolutely adorable friends to lovers romance, and I not only want to reread this one to get into the holiday spirit, but I also want to pick up the rest of the series as well. And I've heard that the side characters of Lovelight Farms are the main characters of the next couple books, so that's why I want to read this series. I want to start off with Lovelight Farms again just to refamiliarize myself with these characters, because all I remember is just the cuteness of the romance. I don't remember any of the side characters. I don't even remember these guys' names, honestly. I barely remember anything about Lovelight Farms beside the fact that there was a farm of trees and these guys were just cute. That's all I remember. So I just want to reread this in the lead up to the other two books. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of find it weird that the series starts off with a Christmas rom-com and then just proceeds. I'm not too sure if the other two are Christmas themed at all. It just feels kind of weird, but at the very same time, it's kind of timely because here in the Southern Hemisphere, December will be summer. So reading contemporaries during summer, that's not weird at all. I just kind of find it weird that the first book in the series is a holiday rom-com and then proceeds to just be a normal contemporary romance series without a holiday theme. So that is why I didn't initially continue on with the series last December. I didn't see the necessity in doing so, but I want to finally get to the rest of the series because I'm hearing great things about books 2 and 3, and I just need to know what the hype is about. Alright, enough with the contemporary romances. Let's get into the fantasy. I want to see if I can start and complete the Frost and Nectar series by C.N. Crawford. And if you don't happen to know, C.N. Crawford are the author duo who wrote the Demon Queen Trials, and I loved that series so much. And I think that the Frost and Nectar duology was the project that they wrote after the Demon Queen Trials, and I have just been hearing great things about the series. I've seen so many book community members, specifically on Bookstagram, talk about how much they love this series and how it's like one of the best series that they've read in a long time, and I very much appreciate that feedback because I want to know what romantasy to read next, and I kind of have a feeling that I need to jump on the hype train with Frost and Nectar, especially because I loved and adored the Demon Queen Trials, which is a very good paranormal romance. I love that series so much, and I still highly recommend it to those who have not yet read it. It's like really good. I just enjoyed the back and forth between those two characters, and I'm kind of hoping that the series might just have a similar back and forth. I don't know if these characters are going to be as snarky as the two main characters in the Demon Queen Trials, but if they are, I will live for it because this writing duo has proven that they can write a good snarky dynamic. They can write a very good hate to love romance that drags on, but drags on in like the most entertaining way possible. Like, yes, of course, I did enjoy The Cruel Prince, but the Demon Queen Trials, that's S tier in my opinion. So I kind of have high expectations for the Frost and Nectar series, not just because of the hype surrounding this book series, but because I have seen C.N. Crawford deliver on another level with the Demon Queen Trials. I am just hoping that they do that with this series right here. And the next thing I put on my quarterly TBR for the last quarter of the year is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Yes, I would like to reread this book in the lead up to Iron Flame, and I am also putting Iron Flame on this quarterly TBR as well, because I'm not missing out on Iron Flame. I honestly don't know any fan who is waiting for the rest of the series to come out before they read Iron Flame, because Iron Flame, oh my goodness, I am so looking forward to, and I am usually a series binger. When it comes to multiple book series, I struggle to read a new release immediately. However, in this case, I'm not going to miss the opportunity to finish Iron Flame by the end of the year. So I am planning on reading Iron Flame by the end of the year. I plan to read it in November, and we will see how we go. But I also want to read Fourth Wing in the lead up to to the sequel because I enjoyed my experience of reading it so much that I wanted to reread it initially, as soon as I first read it. So now I'm giving myself the opportunity to reread it in the lead up to the sequel. I can't wait for this reread. I am just gonna feel so nostalgic because this book makes me feel so nostalgic. It just made me so happy. It had everything I wanted, like the themes from Divergent. Yeah, it just reminded me of my reading experience of Divergent back in 2014. Oh my goodness. I cannot wait to experience that nostalgia again, and I'm hoping that Iron Flame is just as good or maybe even better than the first book, because this is gonna be a 5-book series. Rebecca Yarros has got to figure out a way to entertain us for 5 books. I don't know how she's gonna do it, but I trust that she's made this a 5-book series for a reason. And speaking of rereads and anticipated sequels, we're finally here. I honestly cannot believe that This Cursed Light is coming out in this final quarter. It's so close. In case you have not been watching my channel in the last year and a half at least, or maybe the last 15 months, I will just let you know that This Vicious Grace just happened to be one of my favorite books of last year. I adore this book. It is an apocalyptic fantasy story that very much reminded me of Shatter Me, and I just fell head over heels for these characters and this world and the writing. I believe that This Vicious Grace was also a debut novel, and it impressed me on every level. I love this book so much, and I am kind of a little bit nervous to read it because I loved it so much when I first read it. I believe that I read this book back in July or August of last year, so it has been like over a year since I've read This Vicious Grace, but I want to reread it in the lead up to the sequel and conclusion of this duology. I just remember the cliffhanger ending of this book being so ridiculous. I was in absolute shock reading this first book. It just left me speechless. I was mind blown. And I could not shut up about this book to Camilo and on my channel at the time. So, it's been some time. I have not talked about this book in quite some time because I have distanced myself from it completely. And I'm just hoping that I love this book just as much as I loved it the first time. Fingers crossed. And I am so looking forward to This Cursed Light, and I'm kind of hoping that it ends in the best way possible for the series. And honestly, I am over the moon that the author and the publisher did not rush the publication of This Cursed Light. I believe that This Cursed Light was meant to come out sometime in the middle of this year, and they had to push it out to the last quarter of the year. And I'm seriously thankful that they did that, because I've talked on my channel previously about the fact that I've had trouble with duologies just ending in a very rushed way. I personally struggle with 2 types of duologies. One being the duology that should have just been a standalone, and the duology that should have been a trilogy or more. And honestly, in my personal opinion, the last Fenestra series has the potential to be a trilogy based on how well developed this world is and how much more I want of it. But I'm just hoping that This Cursed Light delivers everything I possibly could have ever wanted from this world and this series. If not, then hopefully Emily Theed writes a spin-off in this world, because I do want more of this world. I am fine to say goodbye to these characters as long as she gives them a good send-off. I'm wishing myself luck with this one. I'm hoping that I love This Cursed Light, and I hope that I love This Vicious Grace just as much as I loved it the first time. The second last book slash series that I have put on my quarterly TBR for the final quarter of the year is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. And I am really nervous about this because, if you guys don't know, I really did not like the Carnival series. I want to be polite and respectful about it, but I'm sorry. I had so many problems with that series, and I found myself cringing a lot. But I seemed to care about Jax because I just knew that Jax's story was coming up next. So I read the Carnival series so that I could get Jax's backstory, because you only really get that if you read Carnival, unless of course they give you like a rundown in this book. But I'm also reading Once Upon a Broken Heart because I need to complete a Pop Sugar Reading Challenge prompt by the end of the year, and that Pop Sugar Reading Challenge prompt is to read a book that you got secondhand. And this is one of the only books I have on my TBR that I got secondhand. I purchased this from a reseller. I purchased it for a pretty good price too, because this has got to be one of the prettiest hardbacks I've ever seen in my life, so I just had to have it. I had to have it for my collection. But I think after reading Carnival, I'm a little bit more nervous about going into it. So I'm hoping that I like this book as much as everyone else does, and I'm hoping hoping to continue on with the series, but if I need a little bit of a break, I will give myself a little bit of a break. I'm just scared going into the series because I just didn't really like Caraval. But I'm also hearing great things about the series from those who did not initially enjoy Caraval, so I am going into this with an open mind. I'm a little bit scared, but I'm excited at the same time. And the final book series that I've put on my queue for TBR is the Fallen World trilogy by Laura Falasa. As we are nearing my top 23 books slash series of 2023, I would like to see where this book series is gonna rank. I have wanted to read the Fallen World trilogy for around a couple of years now. Ever since I saw Laura Falasa's backlist like on Amazon, I just saw all of them and I was like, oh my goodness, I want to read that one, I want to read that one, I want to read that one. And I mean, yes, I got to the Bargainer series and I got to the Four Horsemen series, I've read Bewitched, I've read The Unearthly. Now I need to get to the Fallen World series. And I have this beautiful Fake Rate slipcase that I recently got and I'm just like absolutely obsessed with these. I didn't even do this with the Frost and Nectar set, but I'll do that afterwards. But check this out. This series is just so beautiful and I am absolutely in love with these cover designs. Oh, these are so pretty. Yeah, I'm so obsessed. And just to be fair with the Frost and Nectar series, let me show you these two. These are gorgeous. They are harder to look at because they have like the plastic dust jackets, the clear overlays, but as I take the dust jacket off, it is much easier to see the beautiful art underneath. So this first book is Frost and this second book is Ambrosia, and I really love this beautiful autumnal cover. Maybe that's another reason to read it during October. I mean, even though it's not autumn for me, I can read it for the autumnal vibes of American Halloween, maybe. But anyway, back to the Fallen World trilogy. So the first book is The Queen of All That Dies. The books in this series don't seem to be too chunky. Oh my goodness, this first book is only 300 pages. I don't know if the rest of the series is like thicker. Oh, okay, the final book seems to be like 450 pages. But still, considering that I read much thicker and denser fantasy romances, I reckon that this is doable. I really want to read these books in the lead up to the end of the year, but if I don't do that, then maybe they just might end up on my favorites list of next year. And yes, guys, I am fully expecting this book series to make my favorites list because Laura Falasa is my favorite author at the moment. I love every series that she has put out so far. I reckon that this might just be up there in terms of ranking. So my aim is to read these before I do my ranking for end of year reads, and I just really hope that I love this one and that this delivers and that it might just surprise me, because right now my expectations are super high and I don't know how it could surprise me. But then again, Laura Falasa just always manages to surprise me in some sort of way. So I guess that's gonna be it for this video today, book lovers. If you happen to stay to the end of the video, leave me the blue heart emoji. And if you happen to enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet already. Join the amazing community of book lovers. And also, I have social medias. I'm at GSwizzleBooks on Twitter and Instagram, and I'm also GOODREADS. That's www.goodreads.com/GSwizzle. And finally, I'm at TikTok. I'm at GSwizzle on TikTok if you want to follow me there for some bookish content. I love you, book lovers, and I will see you later.
Started out with half and I flipped it into double. Started out with half and I flipped it into double.